Okay,
Okay, if you guys are ready to go, I'll count you down.
we are ready.
You guys are going to be live in 10.
Test 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear?
You guys are live in 5.
Okay.
4, 3, 2. Go ahead.
Welcome everybody to the August 9th regular meeting of council. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:04 p.m. Adoption of the agenda. Resolve the council adopt the agenda as amended with the addition of the following action or the items. Correspondence for action. 8.2 Southern Chiefs Organization Annual Golf Tournament, August 18th, 2022 in Winnipeg. 8.3 Armed Social Event and Meeting, September 9th, 2022 in Petersfield. May I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Hunt, seconded by Councillor Pohl. And any additions to the agenda? Councillor Pohl.
Yeah, I'd like to add a personnel matter to be discussed in camera.
Personnel and camera, okay. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I have a report for council about the alphabets on the financial statements. So I ask it be added under old business.
Okay, what number we got here for old business?
It'll be under item 10.1.
10.1?
Yeah.
Okay, anything further?
I believe Councillor Pohl, there was a resolution required to update about bylaw and the acting bylaw officer.
Okay, that discussion will happen in camera as Councillor Pohl had suggested. Councillor Pohl?
I'd just like to place a comment, I guess. The discussion we're having in camera may result in a couple of different resolutions, and that's likely going to be one of them, Mayor Sewell. So those will come out of camera afterwards.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything further? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Before we move any further, Councillor Prychin is not with us. He is going to hopefully check in later on. He's got something else going on. In the meantime, we'll get going with the planning and related delegation. I'll open the public hearings. Be it resolved that council hereby open the public hearings for the following planning application scheduled for August 9th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Conditional use number 13-2022. Conditional use number 14-2022, variation order number 74-2022, variation order number 78-2022, variation order number 85-2022, subdivision number S22-2963, subdivision number S22-2964. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Pohl. Seconder, Councillor Garvey seconds. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Item 3.2, conditional use application, use number 14-2022 for Murdoch Drive. Mr. Planner, would you please proceed?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, council. If you would just allow me to share my screen.
Okay, we can see you.
Okay, this is conditional use application CU 14-2022. The subject property is located at 4 Murdoch Drive. The applicant wishes to apply for an outfitter's business in seasonal residential zone. This is the conditional use request table. As stated earlier, the applicant wishes to establish a recreational facilities commercial use outfitter's operation that requires conditional approval in the seasonal residential zone. This is the location map identifying the subject property and illustrating the surrounding area. As you can see, the property fronts Murdoch Drive, and there are mostly seasonal residential developments in the surroundings. This is applicant's site plan. There is an existing house marked with alphabet A and an existing garage marked with alphabet B in this site plan. Applicant is proposing no change to the existing building. Red River Planning circulated this application and did not receive any objections. Red River Planning notes that the applicant has received approval from the Provincial Department of Natural Resources to become licensed as an outfitter. Should council approve this conditional use application, Red River Planning recommends 3 conditions. Number 1, that conditional use approval be limited to allow recreation commercial use outfitters business as proposed within this application. To continue, any change to this may require new conditional use approval. Number 2, the applicant owner obtains an annual business license from the RM of St. Andrews. Number 3, the approval of this conditional use is limited to applicant's owner of this application, and any change in ownership would require new conditional use approval. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Council, do you have any questions for the planner? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'd like to call the applicants forward, Karen Grisendo and Tim Schellenberg. Would you like to speak to your application? Please proceed.
I've never been to a hearing before, so I'm not sure exactly what the formalities all are, but it's a business that it's something that I want to give back as far as taking kids out on their first fishing trips with either their parents or their grandparents, and it's also for something for seniors to do in the evenings. I'm not sure exactly what else.
Okay, well, counselors will ask questions of you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions from Mr. Tim Schellenberg? Councilor Paul.
Hi. I guess I have 2 questions. One question is, what are the hours of your business? And the second question is, have you consulted with any neighbors around the property and gotten feedback from them?
Yes, I have talked to my neighbors on the east side and the west side of me. They don't have any issues with it. It's a very small operation. There would be maybe 4 vehicles per day that come into the property. As far as hours of operations, it would be from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, Monday to Friday, possibly, or 7 days a week, possibly. So.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? Councilor Hunt.
Just a comment, like the letter of intent. Like your letter of intent is pretty self-explanatory. So you're only taking 2 people out in a boat between those 3 different time zones, right? Or 3 different times, like 9 to 1, 1 to 5, and then 5 to 9, something like that, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just 2 people in the boat, so it's not like constant traffic. You'd have to book by appointment.
That's right. Yeah,
and
up to
so-
3 people in the boat. Yeah,
So like I say, your letter of intent is really self-explanatory. Good job on it.
thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I don't have a question. I just have a comment for the applicant. I want to thank you. That's a very impressive business plan and a great idea. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you. We'll move on and we'll give you a decision later on in the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to conditional use number 13, 2022, 9 Craig Avenue. Mr. Planner, if you would please proceed.
Thank you, sir. This is conditional use application CU 13/2022. The subject property is located at 9 Craig Avenue. The applicant wishes to allow for a garden suite on the subject property in the rural residential zone. This is the conditional use request table. As stated earlier, the applicant wishes to establish a garden suite on the existing garage. There is a variance application attached to this application that we'll be discussing next. This is the location map identifying the subject property and illustrating the surrounding area. As you can see, the property fronts Crag Avenue, and there are mostly residential developments in the surroundings. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. As you can see, the applicant wants to convert the existing 936 square feet garage to a garden suite. Red River Planning circulated this application and did not receive any objections. Red River Planning advises the council to consider addressing the length of time a garden suite should be allowed. If you choose to approve this application, Red River Planning recommends 4 conditions. Number 1, that conditional use approval be limited to allow a garden suite use as proposed within this application. Any further changes or additions may require new conditional use approval. Number 2, the applicant owner obtains all the required permits from Red River Planning District for garden suite use proposed in this application. The applicant owner to address at the building permit stage the downspouts that are directed away from the neighboring property. Number 3, the applicant owner obtains variance application BO 78/2022. And number 4, the applicant owner complies with all the other requirements under section 3.13 of the RM of St. Andrews zoning bylaw number 4066. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Council, do you have any questions of the planner? Hearing and seeing none, I'd like to call the applicant to speak to their application. Please proceed.
Okay, I also haven't been in at one of these meetings either, so I'm not exactly sure.
Just speak to what you want, what you're planning.
I just want to change a garage that I have there into a garden suite for my husband who's had a stroke, and have my son move into my house with his family, so I have some help to take care of him. That's my biggest reasons.
Okay.
Is just to have some help. So.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for the applicant? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you for your application. We'll deal with it shortly.
Thank you.
Carter Carlson. Please, you are in opposition. You wish to speak?
Oh, no, not for that one. I think I was on the wrong paper.
I think so.
I was supposed to be on board with that.
You were supposed to be on 4 Murdoch. And we missed you.
Sorry about that.
Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to speak to this application? Council, you're satisfied with all the information that we have? Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on. Variation order number. Where we're here, just a second here. Variation order number 78-2022 9 Craig Avenue. Mr. Planner, would you please proceed? Your mic is muted, Mr. Singh.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, there we are. Okay, please proceed.
This is variation application BO 78/2022. The subject property is located at 9 Crag Avenue. This is the same address associated with the conditional use application we just heard. This is the variance request table. As stated earlier, the applicant wishes to establish a garden suite on the existing garage that has a permanent foundation, whereas the bylaw permits temporary foundation for a garden suite. Therefore, this variance is required. This is the location map identifying the subject property and illustrating the surrounding area, same as the previous application. This is the site plan provided by the applicant, same as the previous application. Red River Planning circulated this application and did not receive any objections. Should council approve this variation application, Red River Planning recommends 2 conditions. Number 1, this variance is limited to allow a permanent foundation as presented in this variance application and submitted site plan. Any changes in use, replacement, or further additions may require new variance approval. Number 2, the applicant owner obtains all the required permits from Red River Planning District. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Council, do you have any questions for the planner? Okay, this is the same one that we just did for conditional use. This is just a variation order on that. So I don't believe that we need to have the applicant speak to it again unless she wants to speak to the variation order. She doesn't, she shook her head no. So we will move on that if there's no questions. Councillor Paul.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the original conditional use 14-2022. I know we had talked about it, but there was a person in attendance that had an objection. Are we going to go back to that after?
When they signed up on, sorry, let's finish this one here first, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Is there any further discussion on this variation order for 9 Craig Avenue? There is none, so we'll close that for now. Councillor Paul. Go ahead. You were wanting somebody to speak that wasn't on the sheet.
Yeah, I was just referring to the gentleman in attendance that signed up to the wrong sheet for, I think it was conditional use number 14-2022 for Murdoch Drive. I was wondering if we could hear his comments, if there was any objection from council.
Okay, is council okay with additional information for the first for Murdoch Drive? All right. Well, then we will hear it. Carter Carlson, would you please come to speak then to this application?
I'd like to just bring to notice the parking situation. I don't think it's adequate enough that's on that property. The road that it's on has no parking signs on both sides of the street. I just want to make sure that there's not going to be a parking issue on the road, right? Because that's not what we're there for, right? It's a very nice residential street. We want to keep it kind of quiet, relatively, not a lot of traffic. That's my only concern. Parking, I'll add noise in there too, noise. Early in the morning and late at night. When you go fishing early in the morning, late at night, usually there's quite a bit of noise. But I'll leave it at that, parking and noise.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for the opposition? It was to do with parking. Councillor Paul and Deputy Mayor Hobie.
I don't have a question for the objector, but I do now have a question for the applicant.
Okay, applicant, would you just come back to the podium, please? Go ahead, Councillor Paul.
My question would be is if there's potentially up to 4 customers or 4 vehicles, will they be parking on the subject property or were they planning to park on the road?
Oh, there is adequate room on our property. It will only be 1 vehicle at a time. And I'm not sure, yeah, as far as the noise level goes, it's no different than anybody visiting anybody else. You know, there might be the odd child that's excited to, you know, go fishing with his parent or his grandparent or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be screaming or hollering up a storm of any kind. I don't, that's what everybody, you know, that lives out on the creek there, you know, people, they want to get out and they want to enjoy it. And I just wanted to share that with a lot of, as many people as possible, especially the less fortunate. And but as far as parking goes, I have parking in my driveway for at least 8 vehicles. And again, it would only be 1 at a time.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Actually, I'm good. Councillor Paul asked the same question I was going to ask, so I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Mayor, you had a question?
Yes, I just want to reconfirm in the business plan, it says the hours are from 9 AM to 1 PM, 1 to 5, and then 5 to 9. That's staying the same? Is that, I don't consider 9 AM early morning.
Madam Mayor, let's stick to the parking was the issue here that was brought forward. So let's stick to that. We
Well,
talked.
I'm speaking to the issue raised by the noise.
Okay. Thank you.
And yeah, as far as the hours go, I mean, it's kind of, it's an outline. It doesn't exactly, it's not concrete at the moment per se. I mean, I can always adjust the hours, you know, 9 AM. I didn't think that was too early, whether it's a weekday or a weekend to go fishing type of thing. So, but I'm not sure.
Okay, no, that was fine. I just wanted to know if there was any deviant to the plan, the business plan, like the hours to me, I just wanted to reconfirm, like they're fine with me. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'll move on then to the next variation order number 74-2022, 1584 Whitetail Trail. Mr. Planner, would you please proceed?
Thank you, sir. This is variation application BO 74-2022. The subject property is located at 1584 Whitetail Trail. The applicant wishes to utilize the existing permanent foundation for a garden suite in the agriculture general zone. This is the variance use request table. As stated earlier, the applicant wishes to establish a garden suite on the property, and there is an existing permanent foundation that the applicant intends to use for garden suite. This is the location map identifying the subject property and illustrating the surrounding area. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. As you can see, the applicant wishes to move a ready-to-move home on the subject property and use it as a garden suite. Red River Planning circulated this application and did not receive any objections. Should the council approve this variation, Red River Planning recommends 4 conditions that are on the screen. We also advise the council to consider addressing the length of time the garden suite should be allowed. Therefore, condition 3 has been added for consideration. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Singh? Hearing and seeing none. The applicants, I'd like to come forward. Gary and Marina Douglas. Please proceed.
As explained by Mr. Singh in the other application for Firm Rock, we are just looking at placing our garden suite on the existing pony wall foundation that is already there.
Okay,
There's a house there that has to be removed.
there's a house there that needs to be removed.
Yes.
And you're going to put that garden suite on the same foundation.
Yes.
Council, do you have any questions of the applicants? Okay, thank you very much. Janet and Jason Douglas, do you wish to speak to the application? No? Okay. We will move on then, if there's no further questions. Variation number 85, 2022, 48 Tom Prince Drive. Mr. Planner, please proceed.
Thank you, sir. This is variance application VO 85-2022. The subject property is located at 48 Tom Prince Drive. The applicant wishes to allow to vary the side yard setback from the required 15 feet to 10 feet in the suburban residential zone. This is the variance request table. As stated earlier, the applicant wishes to vary the side yard requirement in the suburban residential zone. This is the location map identifying the subject property and illustrating the surrounding area. As you can see, the property fronts Tom Prince Road, and there is a residential development on west and east side of the property. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. As you can see, the applicant wishes to reduce the west side yard of the property. Red River Planning circulated the application and did not receive any comments from the commenting agencies. Should council approve this variance application, Red River Planning recommends 2 conditions. Number 1, this variance is limited to allow a side yard variance as presented in this application and submitted site plan. Any changes in use, replacement, or further additions may require a new variance approval. Number 2, the applicant owner obtains all the required permits for the Red River Planning District. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Singh? Any comments? Is the applicant here? Okay, she's on Zoom. Susan Kluche, would you like to speak to your application?
Hi there. Yes, it is for a house build that will be doing. There are a couple of very old oak trees to the east side of the property that we would like to maintain. They're probably 50, 60 plus years old. So we want to be able to give them a bit of grace and move. They're about on the 15-foot mark from the east side of the property is why we want to move a little closer to the west side.
Council, do you have any questions for the applicant? Hearing and seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to the subdivisions. Subdivision number S222963, 445 Liss Road. Mr. Planner, if you please proceed.
Thank you, sir. This is subdivision application S222963. The subject property is located at 445 Liss Road. The applicant is proposing a small lot of 0.21 acre to develop an infrastructure storage shed for internet distribution in the area. This is the zoning requirements table. The proposed lot do not meet the required 40 acres and 300 feet area and width requirement in the A40 zone. So additional variances will be required to bring the lots into compliance. This is the location map. The property is zoned agriculture limited and is mostly vacant. The applicant is proposing access from an undeveloped road along the drain. This is the subdivision application map. As you can see, the applicant is proposing to subdivide a small lot, 0.21 acres, from an overall size of 25.67 acres. The application is generally consistent with the policies under agriculture restricted designation that promote such developments. As stated earlier, the proposed lot do not comply with the zoning requirements, so variances will be required to bring the lots into compliance. Red River Planning circulated the application to various provincial agencies and commenting departments, and we did not receive any objections on the proposal. If the council wishes to approve this application, Red River Planning recommends 4 conditions that are listed on the screen and section 10 of the report. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, do you have any questions of Mr. Singh? Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you. Will the applicant be here to speak to this?
Is the applicant in the room to speak to this? No. This would be a construction of a utility shed similar to what was erected on the here in Clandeboye, Mr. Singh?
Yeah, yes, sir. So Valley Fiber is the internet company.
Okay. It's what's been built here just north of the cemetery.
Yeah.
So then with that, Mr. Singh, I'm not a computer techie. So with this going in, because when the area residents were originally concerned by Valley Fiber, it was they wanted to erect a tower. So now that it's subdivided with this like a storage shed, there will not be an application coming forward then that they require a tower?
Not that I'm aware of, Madam Mayor. This is just for the storage shed.
Okay.
But no application has come forward, even for the previous subdivisions of similar nature that they did.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Singh? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on. Subdivision number S222964, 23 Cedar Street. Mr. Singh, would you please proceed?
Thank you, sir. This is subdivision application S222964. The subject property is located at 23 Cedar Street. The applicant is proposing 7 lots of about 4 acres each. This is the zoning requirements table. As you can see, all the proposed lot meet the area and width requirement in the agriculture restricted zone. This is the location map. The property is zoned agriculture restricted and currently vacant. The applicant is proposing access from Cedar Street, and the surrounding area is mostly single-family residential development. This is the subdivision application map. As you can see, the applicant is proposing 7 lots of about 4 acres each. There is an internal street, proposed street that terminates in a cul-de-sac. The application is generally consistent with the policies under agriculture restricted designation. It aligns with other policies related to compatibility of land uses. In addition, as stated earlier, the proposed lot comply with zoning requirements of the bylaw. Red River Planning circulated the application to various provincial agencies, and we did not receive any formal objections on the proposal. We did receive an objection from a nearby property owner that has been added to the docket for council's consideration. Should the council wish to approve this application, Red River Planning recommends 5 conditions that are listed in section 10 of the report and on the screen. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Singh. Council, do you have any questions for the planner? I just have one comment. Did Public Works, did they sign off on it and to make sure that there was a engineered draining plan done with this subdivision?
That is one of the conditions.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments by council? Is the applicant here? Would you please come to speak to your application?
Hi, Council. Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie Mann. I'm representing Amrita Kaur for this residential lots. And we will do like whatever requirement it's by circle planning or St. Andrews. And we will do whatever draining planage and whatever needs, we will do according with it.
Council, do you have any questions for the planner or for the applicant? I don't see any, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is there? Pardon? Oh, sorry, Madam Mayor.
No, I don't have for the applicant, but I have questions for, is Lisa present?
She is.
Okay, then I'll wait to see if there's any other further questions for the applicant.
There is no further questions for the applicant at this point. So Madam Mayor, if you want to ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, we received 2 notices of objection. With one being for Mr. Unruh. There's a big issue with drainage in this area. How is that going to be addressed?
One of the conditions is that a development agreement is required with the applicant. The areas that need to be addressed with that, within that agreement will be an engineered lot grade and drainage plan. Public Works also will be asking the applicant to address some cleaning of the ditch along Cedar Street to make sure that the drainage works appropriately as well. So we will all look at that, and then there'll be new road construction as well. So we'll make sure all of those components of infrastructure work together.
Okay, wonderful. And then secondly, the objection is Cedar Street is accessed either by Bay Road, which is fairly well maintained, but a gravel road, or by Poplar. It's so hard to tell on the map. So where is going to be, it's like a cul-de-sac, I see by the photo. Where is going to be, there's only going to be one access to the subdivision?
That's correct.
And is that off Bay or Poplar?
It's off of Cedar.
Off Cedar. Oh, I see. Okay. So there was concern about the narrow jog, and that's actually the only access onto that property, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the subdivision? Okay, against? You're looking for information. Okay, please proceed then. you state your name, please?
My name is Jim Pasavich. I own the property on number 2 Tower Road, which is on the borders, the very east side of where the subdivision is going to be. Just to have council be aware, like this spring, looking out my window, that whole area was underwater. There is a swamp between my property and that proposed subdivision. I spoke to the farmer that used to farm that. I said, why is a swamp here? And he said, because I've tried to farm that area for years. And he said, it was just always so wet in there, I couldn't farm it. So this year, watching the drainage coming through with the heavy snowfall we had this year, the swamp almost acted like a filter because the water runs towards my place. I don't know if I can't see how it runs towards Cedar. Watching the water, it runs to my place. The swamp acted as a filter to slow down the water as it was coming into our swale. So my big concern is something that has been brought up to is the drainage. And I don't want the subdivision impacting more water coming into my property in a fast rate. So I really want to see a proper drainage plan or what they're going to do about that. Because it's so low in that area, I don't think the people that are building there is going to have any choice but to build up, haul in fill. That is going to create more of a problem for me. It's going to be coming my way. That is, I don't have anything, I can't see any other use for the property, so I'm really not against it being there, but I just want to have it done properly, and I don't want the water coming all to me when that subdivision is built.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
Okay. And the other impact too is when we moved there, we moved last year, and I could not believe the traffic on Bay Road. It surprised me. There's a lot of traffic on there, and now you're going to be adding another 7 lots with probably 2 vehicles in each lot. That's 14 vehicles. It's going to be a bit of an impact. So, but the biggest thing for me is the drainage. I'm really worried about it all ending up in my property. So.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for Jim? Councillor Hunt?
Just to comment, like the engineered drainage plan will take into effect, like through a lot crate bylaw, the water has to stay on that property.
Okay.
It can't go on to other people's property. So that's part of the engineered drainage plan. Maybe the planner or a planner can add to that. Like I say, that's part of the engineered drainage plan. The water stays there, and not only off of their property, where it's going to go from their property and how it's going to get off their property, but part of the engineered drainage plan.
Okay.
As well as it can't go on to someone else's property.
Okay, because right now it does drain onto mine right at this point.
So that's mitigated through swales or berms.
It comes through my swale, and then it runs along our place, and it ends up on Tower Point, and then eventually crosses Bay Road, and then goes back west again. So I just thought I don't need any more coming. So
through the engineered drainage plan, we can ask for improvements on our ditches as well.
Okay.
Like to take this extra water.
Yeah,
So
that would be great.
So that's all part of the engineered drainage plan that has to be met for one of the conditions for the final subdivision approval.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Okay, council, do you have any further questions for Jim? Hearing it's none. Thank you. Oh, Madam Mayor, you had your hand
My
up.
wife, so.
No, that was my questions answered to Councillor Hunt. That's my main concern is about drainage.
Okay,
But if it'll be addressed, I'm okay.
okay, good. Is there anybody who else wishes to speak in opposition? Please go ahead. Can you state your name?
Yes, sir. My name is Jagjit, and I'm building up a house on 485 Bay Road, which is right next to this property. And we own 5 4-acre lots on that street right next to this property. And this last winter, we had almost 3 feet of water. My whole property was under 3 feet of water for entire 3 months. And that's the lowest spot in that street right behind this property. So we all 5 family who own this property was underwater for 3 months. And we had 2 culverts on our property. But still, this part, the development area is all high property and our is a lower spot. So that water always come and sit on our property. So just a concern, it have to be a better drainage because all the water come through this property to our properties through a swale. And we are the lowest spot on that street, right next to this property.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? It seems to be it's the same theme as drainage issues and needing an engineered draining plan that meets, that would meet the requirements to keep the water away from your property.
Yes,
That's your concern?
that's the main concern.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Counselor Hunt?
So again, in building what I had said, that'll probably help out your property, because if the water's coming across this proposed subdivision property, entering your property, the engineered drainage plan will address that.
And
You know, because right now that water's coming onto your property from another property, and that's not allowed. So, you know, the engineered drainage plan will address that, and if that condition can't be met, then the subdivision will not proceed.
So that's the main concern. The drainage is the main concern.
Yeah.
Because when they subdivide the lot IO, they did the swales on the sides, but still the drainage is a problem. The city has 2 drainage on our side, and this whole last winter, nobody cleaned those ditches, and the water was back up like almost 2 to 3 feet on our properties.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Singh?
Sir, just a comment that the drainage plan is also requested by Water Stewardship Division, and they have listed out specific requirements relating to drain flow directions, culvert sizes, and addressing all sorts of water storage work. So the RM Infrastructure Department also requested one, and it's also requested by the Water Stewardship Division.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Please state your name. So
Good evening. I'm Kareen Pasavage. Jim is my husband.
Okay.
Just a few points I would like to add. And I'm curious more than anything, and it probably can't be answered, but this gentleman, I know his property and where it was underwater. So I'm assuming then they didn't need one of these drainage systems that you're talking about that this other cul-de-sac is going to have. So I know it's just a point I want to make. I don't know how that's going to fix that problem. I also wanted to make a further comment on Bay. The speed limit there is 70 kilometers per hour. It's a gravel road. I've been completely covered in water by people flying by me as I'm walking for my mail. So there's going to be that additional traffic that concerns me as a resident in the area. And the third thing that I'm hoping that our good owners have considered is doing an environmental assessment. There is a real ecosystem in that property, and we see it from our backyard all the time. And as Jim said, it's not so much that we're against development, but we want to make sure that we know what we're going to be eliminating by further building there.
Okay.
That's what I want to say.
Council, do you have any questions for Kareen? I don't see any, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda here for that. There are 2 letters of objection, one from UNRWA and one from Vesna. Councilors, you have them in your package for your further information. We'll close the public hearings. Oh, Councillor Hunt.
I have a question I'd like to ask the planner in regards to the garden suites while he's still on here. Because number 9, like the one on Whitetail Trail, you have a condition number 3 in there about removal of a time limit, or I gotta get back on my thing here. And on the other one, you don't, the one on Craig. What is the reason for having a condition? They're both similar in applications. One does have that condition and one doesn't. To me, these garden suites, like I say, they're used, it's a circle of life. So the same thing is going to happen when the children that are taking care of the parents get older. their children will move into that house, you know, and take care of them. But you don't have that condition on the one on 9 Craig. Like, I don't know why that condition would be there. Like, you know, to me, then there should be another variance application then if it's going to change the use of it from a garden suite, which is you're covered under number 1, you know, where it says any change in use, replacement, or further additions may require a new variance approvals. But on the one on Whitetail Trail, you have the proposed garden suite will be allowed to remain for blank years or removed upon creation, cessation of the occupants. But like I say, it's a circle of life with these here garden suites, which is the purpose of them. So you have one family taking care of aging parents, and I'm sure the children will do the same. Their children will do the same. You know, the grandchildren will do the same for their parents. You know, so I don't know why that one is in there or not in the other one. This is the first time I've ever seen them in here. Sometimes it's, you know, it's been expected to remove them after, but we've never had a condition in there.
Thank you for the question, sir. And we didn't put it in the first one, but I did speak when I was presenting the application, and council can by all means address the time period on both of them. The one that I put in, I left the years blank just for the consideration. If the council wants to remove it completely, they can do that as well. But if they want to keep it, they can keep it for both of them.
Well, I like the one number 1 where it says any changes in use, replacement, or further additions may require a new variance. That pretty covers off any changes in use or anything you want to proceed with, because like I say, you know, society, you know, takes care of ourselves. So I think the circle of life has to be examined on that and allow them to stay in place. You know, the one on Craig Avenue is a little bit more permanent because it's already an existing structure that's being remodeled for a garden suite. So whereas the one well isn't, but I just want to know your opinion on that, because that would be my preference when we come to that one, is to remove that condition. So
right. The only reason that condition was there because garden suite is supposed to be temporary in nature. So just so the council is aware, it is supposed to be a temporary in nature. So yeah.
the other thing you have to consider too, whereas a variance is not allowed for a garden suite on A80 property. See, this one's not requiring a variation order.
It is permitted use, so it doesn't need a conditional use approval, but it does need a variance to vary that section.
Well, for the foundation section is what you want.
Yes.
Post and pad, whatever. It's a more permanent structure, which is better for building actually. So, okay, I just wanted to get your spin on that, why one was in there and one's not in the other. But in comment again, you know, a variance is not required on A80 land because of the area of the property and you know, so. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Yeah, to Mr. Singh, I'm kind of feeding off of Councillor Hunt's comments. You know, in the last 4 years, I'm noticing we're getting more and more and more of these garden suites coming across our desks. And I'm kind of at the feeling where I think we need some more concrete, I don't want to call them rules and regulations, but I mean, really that's what they are. Because I mean, on my next street to my street, there's 3 on just this next street that's been built in the last 3.5, 4 years. And one, it's clear to me by the look of it that it's a temporary structure that at some point it will be moved or taken down. The other one, I'm going to be honest, it's a straight up house. That will never move. I'm positive of that. So I just feel and kind of to Councillor Hunt's comments, like I feel like we kind of pick and choose the rules on each one. And I don't know, maybe other councillors can comment or maybe you can take this back to your office, but I just think we need to have some more clear, definitive rules on these garden suites because we're seeing them more and more. And Councillor Hunt is right, you know, things are changing in the world and more of these seniors are moving in with their kids. So I would just like to see something a little more structured. And I feel that every time these come across our desk, everyone's a little different and I can't understand why. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Hobie. Any further comments before Councillor Paul?
Yeah, I seem to recall in the past, we've discussed these numerous times over this term, and I'm pretty sure one of the comments that's always come up is, yes, it's intended to be a temporary structure for the use at the time. And then when that use is no longer there was no mechanism before to remove that use. Like, for example, I understand Councillor Hunt's comments, but what's stopping anyone from turning it into a rental suite and increasing the traffic in there, right? So I think it was, I don't know, my perspective from what I understood was the intent was to allow that opportunity for you to be able to take care of, you know, family members or whatever it may be that needs to be done. And you know, granted, that's an exactly beautiful use for that kind of garden suite. But I think that was some of the comments that came up in the past, which is why potentially why we're seeing this coming up. But I agree with you, Deputy Mayor Hobie. We need to have some sort of framework in the future to be able to have a kind of like a decision tree, yes, no, you know, make it nice and simple. Thank you.
Councillor Hunt.
That's why condition 1, you know, I know it's vague, but it addresses that. It says any changes in use. This variance is limited to, you know, and if any changes in use are different, then a new variance is required. So.
Councillor Paul.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the use if one person is using it for a home and then a next person renting it uses it for a home. The use is not changed, it's the same. So yes, you're changing the tenants potentially, but you're not changing the use of it. So therefore, you wouldn't have the ability to be able to remove that like it was identified as being temporary.
Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna say further to this, and again, that example on that other street, there's no way that's getting removed. I can guarantee you that's there forever. And, you know, clearly we don't all live forever. So the senior people that are there now, like, I always wonder when I walk past it in 10 years from now, who's gonna be living in there? Because the couple is fairly young. And I just see that, and I'm not saying it's going to turn into a rental, but I can certainly see, you know, maybe teenagers moving in or people in their 20s moving in, because, you know, for a variety of reasons, whether they're in school or whatever, it doesn't matter. So I feel we shouldn't be vague. I think we need some really clear, concise, you know, maybe that's for the next council to talk to the planning board with, but I think we're going to see this more and more, and we need to have some clear and concise structured rules on what we're going to allow and permit, so we don't have these unexpected rentals popping up that we don't know about, right?
Councillor Hunt.
I don't mean to belabor this, but to me, the change in use is different then, because the purpose of a garden suite is to provide, you know, I don't want to say home care, but support for aging parents. And the garden suite can even be for your children to come and live in, and the parents stay in the existing home, you know. So to me, that is the use of it, of the garden suite, is for that purpose, not for rental for someone that's going to be paying rental on it and just living there for the reason of living there for rental. So to me, the garden suite is what it's all about, is what that's for. So unless that changes to a rental property, because it's not a rental property, it's not a garden suite no more, which is what it was intended for. So.
Okay, we've discussed that fairly at length, and we'll leave that to the planning board to discuss and come forward with concrete resolution to this. Madam Mayor.
Yes, well, Mr. Planner still here. Under item 3.4.2, the Cedar Street subdivision, the last speaker addressed about anything to do about the ecosystem. Does council have the will to address that? Like, how have you had that before? How do we address that?
Planner.
Ma'am, I haven't had a chance to address that, but I know the Department of Environmental Compliance and Enforcement, they were circulated on this application, and they usually comment on environmental issues, but their comment was no concerns.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Let's move on here. Be resolved that council hereby close the public hearings for August 9th, 2022 planning applications. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poll, seconder. Counselor Hunt, all in favor? That is carried. Resolution of decision for conditional use number 14/2022. Whereas applicant owner of tax roll number 522-640 has made application for conditional use number 14/2022 for the premise described as Lot 4 Plan 7776 4 Murdoch Drive. Now therefore it be resolved. Now therefore be it resolved that conditional use application number 14/2022 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Hunt, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hobie. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Resolution of decision for conditional use number 13/2022. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 314-100 has made application for conditional use number 13-2022 for the premise described as Lot 13, Plan 11622, 9 Craig Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved that the conditional use application number 13-2022 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poole, seconded by Madam Mayor. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Resolution of decision for variation order number 78/2022. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 314-100 has made application for variation order number 20-2022 for the premises described as Lot 13, Plan 11622, 9 Craig Avenue. Now therefore be resolved that the variation order number 78/2022 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poole, second by Counselor Garvey. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Resolution of decision for variation of order number 74-2022. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 453950 has made application for variation order number 74-2022 for the premises described as part northeast, section 1415-4 east, 51584 Whitetail Trail. Now therefore be resolved that variation order number 74-2022 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please?
I'd move this with the removal of condition number 3 to be consistent with the previous variation order that we just did on Craig Avenue.
Okay, can I have a seconder for the amended resolution? Second by Counselor Poole. Any discussion? Hearing and see, Madam Mayor.
Yes, I agree with Counselor Hunt on that, to remove number 3.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Resolution of decision for variation order number 85-2022. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 516600 has made application for variation order number 85-2022 for the premise described as part northeast, section 1415-4 east, 48 Tom Prince Drive. Now therefore be resolved that variation number 85-2022 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poole, seconder. Counselor Garvey seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Resolution of decision for subdivision number S 22-2963. Resolve that the proposed subdivision number S 2022-2963 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Pohl, seconder. Deputy Mayor Hobie seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Resolution of decision for subdivision number S22-2964. Resolve that the proposed subdivision number S2022-2964 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions that were read by the planner. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Pohl, seconder. I have a seconder, please. Seconder, Counselor Hunt. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, Madam Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I just want to make sure that that the engineered drainage plan tries to eliminate, well, not tries, does eliminate all of these water issues in that area, because I'm quite familiar with the water issues there.
Okay, thank
That's my only comment. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, that brings us to item 4. Draft July 12th, 2022 council meeting minutes. Resolve that council adopt the July 12th, 2022 council meeting minutes as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Pohl, seconder. Have a seconder, please. Counselor Hunt seconds. Any discussion? Errors or omissions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay. All right. Draft July 15th, 2022 special council meeting minutes. Resolve that council adopt the July 15th, 2022 special council meeting minutes as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Hobie, seconded by Counselor Pohl. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Tim, we still have one participant from the planning session. Can we move her to the waiting room?
She's allowed to watch. Or she just watches the
Yeah, she can watch on YouTube. And sometimes I don't get enough room on my screen. Okay, special bylaw, item 5, bylaws and policies. Pardon? Special meeting minutes? Oh, the 22nd. Yeah, there's 2 of them. Okay. Draft July 2022 special council meeting minutes. Resolve the council adopt the July 22nd, 2022 special council meeting minutes as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Pohl, second by Counselor Garvey. Any discussion, errors or omissions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, now we'll move on to Counselor Pohl.
May I request a short 5-minute recess?
Does everybody want a 5-minute recess? Let's do it. Let's meetings in recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We'll move to item 5 where we left off, bylaws and policies. Bylaw number 43742, open and establish a public lane, Archie Avenue, second reading. Resolve that council give second reading to bylaw number 4374, being a bylaw to open and establish a public lane as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Hunt, seconded by Counselor Pohl. Any discussion? Madam Mayor.
Yes, I note in the report, it states from hydro gas, if there is any removal or relocation of hydro gas, it will be at the expense of the developer or customer. Now, Councillor Hunt will know this is the lane beside the community club, correct? So if there is anything like that, will the RM pay for it or will the community club have to pay for it?
Not
I'm
sure.
not
I
sure.
don't.
It's on a, it'll be on a public road, so I don't know why they would have that condition on there. Unless they were, I'm not sure. But it's one that Hydro put on, so you can't take it, you can't change nothing on it. It's just. Not sure why.
This-
Colleen
This,
Colleen has an answer.
I just wanted to mention that we're not physically changing the road itself. We're just legalizing what is existing.
because I believe this was the lane, we had people that wanted to put on a sunroom a couple of years ago.
And they couldn't
And
get,
it wasn't to a public access. That was, yeah, okay. Thanks.
any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Bylaw number 4374, third reading. Resolve that council give third reading to bylaw number 4374, being a bylaw to open and establish a public lane as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Poll moves, seconder. Counselor Hunt, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay. Bylaw number 4376, reduce speed school zone bylaw, first reading. Resolve that council give first reading to bylaw number 4376, being the bylaw to reduce the speed limit within the school zone on municipal highways, provincial highways, and in the rural municipality of St. Andrews as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Have a mover, please? Madam Mayor moves, Counselor Poll seconds. Any discussion? Counselor Poll and then Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I sent in an email for clarification with administration on whether or not the bylaw from the province authorizing us to set speed zones on municipal roads was required before this was required. So if I can have someone from administration clarify that for me.
Colleen.
Thank you. Clarification has been received that they are independent bylaws and this can be done as is.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is going to be a good one for residents. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Mayor and then Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Yes, I noted when I brought this up in 2015. Okay, St. Andrews School, because it's a narrow road and there's so much traffic on that road and there's the daycare there and everything, we can, as Selkirk does, as Winnipeg does, we can assign different speeds to different schools. And I think that will have to be defined in the bylaw. I also note, like, okay, St. Andrews School, that's one that I believe, in my opinion, should remain at 30 kilometers full time and have the sign saying that. I know it's been resident concerns on Lockport Calder Road. And I would suggest we have the signs up. You can look at the sign like West St. Paul has, City of Winnipeg, Selkirk has. The times, yes, when the school is from September 1st to June 30th, but from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That be included on the sign. Otherwise, it says it's 50 kilometers, whatever the regular speed limit is in the rest of the property. Clandeboy Road, I think number 9, it's already down to 60. We have to keep it on that side. I'm not familiar what the speed zone is on 2nd Avenue. If we have, there's a different speed, is it 60 kilometer on 2nd Avenue?
I think it's 50 kilometers, except for in front of the school. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear Counselor Hunt. The second street is what?
I think it's 50. I think it's 50 right over the railway tracks till you get past Schindler subdivision.
Okay, well then we'll have to, I think we have to more clearly define in here the speeds for each property, which council has the right to do.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Hobie.
I might not have anything to add now, just, I mean, the St. Andrews School is already 30 and I think it's all year. And I think the Clandeboy Road one, yeah, I think is it, what did you say, 50? I thought it was 60, but okay. So I don't know. Like I know the school in West St. Paul on number 9, that's a 50 zone, except between September 1st, June 30th and the end of August, then it's 70 there. So I don't know, like, yeah, I'm a little torn on this one on a few of them. And I guess it depends on where they are too, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I really have anything to add. I'm a little, I don't know, maybe Mayor Sewell's, I don't know. Do we need to do it individually and not have everything all the same? I'm not sure.
Well, council is allowed to say for each school what the speed zone is and then have that on the sign, like, just like the West St. Paul sign. I think is it 30? And then it goes to 70, or is it 50 and it goes to 70? But that's on a provincial road.
Okay, we'll have Colleen and then Daryl.
The existing bylaw is all of these schools at 30 kilometers an hour, 365 days, 24 hours a day. So the only thing that this bylaw is doing is changing that we're designating between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday to Friday, September 1 to June 30. So I think I understand what council's talking about, that each school might want to change to a different speed, but please know they're currently all 30 kilometers an hour as per the bylaw. Once this bylaw is passed, when it's passed, the signs have to indicate the 7 to 5, Monday to Friday, September to June. That is regulation. It also has to quote the bylaw number.
Yes, thank you, Colleen, you're correct, but we can put the separate speed zones on the sign applicable to that area. You know what I mean? If you contact West St. Paul or take a picture of their sign, City of Winnipeg, different areas have, Selkirk has different areas. It depends on the volume of traffic, like where it's located. Because like I said, St. Andrews School, that's a narrow road, that's high traffic. And there's a daycare right there. So I think that one should stay at 30. The other ones do the summer hours, just like West St. Paul has on their signs.
Councillor Paul.
I agree with the proposal in the bylaw to keep it basically identical to the city of Winnipeg. And I disagree with varying it for any location. I think we should have the same speed zone for all the schools. And I don't think we should be putting 30 kilometers an hour on St. Andrews Road throughout the year. Thank you.
Councillor Garvey.
So Councillor Hunt and I were part of the council that when this came up the first time. And the rationale at that time was that a lot of these schools provide game fields or play structures or things of that nature, whereby even outside of school hours and months, they act as de facto playgrounds. And so we felt, or the council at that time felt that it might be best to have the reduced speed. It's not for very long. It's not a great inconvenience to local travelers, but also that they should all be the same And the only reason that the school in Clandeboye was different was because it was on a highway. And we felt that I think the speed was going to change like up to 3 or 4 times within a mile or two distance. Councillor Hunt, I think that was part of the rationale, that it would get confusing. We'd have multiple speed signs within like a 1 mile area. So anyway, just to provide a little background to the council, that's how that ended up being year round as opposed to following the school year, and why they were all the same.
Okay, I agree with Councillor Paul to have all of them the same so that we avoid any confusion, and that the signs that we make are one sign will do all of the school zones, so that when people are moving up and down the street, they can't use the excuse, well, it's different in this school zone as it is in the other one. I think being consistent would be what I would prefer. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we are down to approval of accounts. Item 6.1. Resolve that council approve the August 5th, 2025 check detail report as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poll, seconder. Councillor Garvey. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor Holby.
Yeah, I just wanted to state that I had sent my questions in and Tim had sent me the answers, and I was satisfied with the answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, yes, I still have not received answers to my last council meeting questions, and I will be abstaining.
Anything further? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried with one abstention. We have no reception of delegations or petitions, correspondence for action. Technical briefing, capital plan region regulation. Resolve that Mayor Sewell be authorized for her attendance at the Capital Region Regulation Technical Briefing, which was held on August 2nd, 2022 in Stonewall. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poll, seconded by Deputy Mayor Holby. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Southern Chiefs Organization Golf Annual Golf Tournament, August 18th, 2022. Who is going to be, who wants to attend that? There's nobody attending. Then we will just leave that as it is. There will be nobody attending, calling for that one. Armed Social Event and Meeting, September 9th, 2022 in Petersfield. Who is going to be attending that function? Councillor Garvey, Councillor Poll. I will try myself to be there. Councillor Hunt. Deputy Mayor Holby? No, Madam Mayor?
Where is this being held in Petersfield?
Pardon?
Where is this being held at Petersfield? Like in the past when we've had it, it's been at Clandeboye Hall, it's been at, because I was advised that we're hosting it.
Yeah, it's going to be held at Hunt's Roadhouse.
Well, normally in the past, it's been a council decision, and like who's the speaker, we arrange everything for it.
Councillor Hunt?
The one that the RM hosting is in, there was an email sent out on Monday, I believe it was. The one the RM hosting is in April.
Well, so why this isn't the RM, we're hosting it, it's at your roadhouse.
You know the answer to this. I don't know why you're doing this, because this is one I've held over the years where I've donated money back to ARM, and they donate it to various charities at the Christmas event in December. So.
Well, I question it, Councillor Hunt, because it's not our turn.
And this
We're
isn't.
not till this spring.
This isn't on the rotation. If you'd seen the email on Monday, you would have seen April is the RM rotation.
Any further
Well, I'm unable to attend because short notice, I'm involved in a big event at the Forks for the Saturday. So I am not able to attend.
Councillor Paul?
So I just want to clarify, so Councillor Hunt, they contacted you to host this event out of, and you're going to be donating the proceeds back to charities?
This one, I'm not charging for the spouses or, and in the past, it's on a Friday night rather than a Thursday. It's called a social event because there is a lot of people going to be retiring from politics, from council. There's going to be people that are retiring not on their own accord. It's a social event and Minister Clark has agreed to come and congratulate us as councillors and mayors and reeves to the job we've done over the past 4 years. And you know, take it for what it's worth. But like I say, this isn't part of the rotation. That's why it's called a social event, and Eileen Clark it will be attending. The difference is that there'll be no charge to the spouses to attend this function.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Hobie, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I guess Councillor Hunt just kind of answered it for me. It's really not an ARM meeting then. It's just an additional meeting to the normal ARM meeting is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a fundraiser where Councillor Hunt will donate the proceeds at the Christmas Arm meeting too. They always have a fundraiser there and they raise money for different charities.
Okay, so there's no speaker or anything coming to this, that it's just more of a social event.
Eileen Clark will be the speaker for this one.
Right. So the one we have in April will be the regular ARM meeting with like a speaker like we normally have.
Like I say, this is the Minister for Municipal Relations. Very seldom we get ministers out to these kind of functions, and my donation in this one, no charge for the spouses. So that's the donation in this one, and that's why it's on a Friday night. There will be some entertainment, and like I say, Eileen Clark, she's the Minister of Municipal Relations, and I would encourage all to attend because it's special people, special friendships we made over the past 4 years, and it's some we won't see again. So
Okay, so resolve that Councillors Prychin, Proyne, Poll, Garvey, and Hunt, be authorized to attend the ARM social event and meeting, which is being held on September 9th, 2022 in Petersfield. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Garvey, seconded by Councillor Poll. All in favor? Is opposed? That is carried. Okay. Correspondence for information. Arm of Armstrong, notice of public hearing. Is there any discussion on that? I think it was for an eco village. That to me sounds like it could be a Hutteritarian Brethren colony being set up. Inclusion Selkirk Golf Tournament, August 25th, 2022 in Selkirk. Who will be attending that? Nobody's putting up their hand, so we will then move on. Arm of Rockwood, letter to Minister Clark requesting regional drainage works. Has everybody had a chance to look at that? Any comments? Madam Mayor?
Yes, there was discussion about this at the last meeting. Did we end up sending in a letter to this effect?
Yes, there was a letter sent to 4 ministers, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Eileen Clark, Derek Johnson from Agriculture, and MTI. All got the same letter, and we had sent one, and Rockwood had sent one in as well. So this will be a regional project, not just one for our municipality, because the Arm of Rockwood is affected very much by this drainage system as well.
Okay, thank you.
Selkirk RCMP first quarter policing report. Any comments? Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I don't know if anybody had a chance to review it, but it was kind of interesting to see that almost all, a majority of the issues were less in 2022 than 2021. I don't know what their fiscal, well, actually I do, it's till June 30th. So in that April 1st to June 30th, 2022, I don't know if anybody noticed, but it seemed like a lot less. I don't know, maybe it's everybody's gone back to work or something, but everything was quite a bit reduced, you know, from impaired driving to the mental health issues to traffic charges. So I just thought I'd point that out. I thought that was very, very interesting. Thank you.
Councillor Paul?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if it was, if it's something they see year over year in that quarter, if they see some sort of reduction compared to the rest of the year, but needless to say, it was still good to see.
Okay, anything further? Okay, let's move on then to Municipal Board Subdivision Appeal Hearing, and that is an appeal hearing because the Red River Planning rejected a subdivision on Pironic Road, and the applicants are appealing it. DJ, does anybody from council have to be at that hearing or not?
It's optional. Red River Planning will have someone presenting on behalf of Red River Planning. We'll be presenting some information relating to drainage to Red River Planning through a letter. If a council member wants to attend, that's generally looked favorable by the board, but it's certainly optional.
Okay, any further comments on that? Madam Mayor?
Yes, I will be attending that one. Thank you.
I will probably be attending as well. Okay. Lily Pad Cruisers, thank you for the support. They had fundraiser every year, Councillor Hunt, if I'm not mistaken. You want to comment on it a little bit?
I believe it was silent auction prizes for their car show that was held at the Mallard Park. July the 9th, I believe it was. A lot of the proceeds go back to Palliative Care in Selkirk, the food bank, different organizations in Selkirk. So the money raised from silent auction prizes that were donated by various businesses in the area, as well as what St. Andrews donated.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hunt. Madam Mayor, you added item 10.1 under old unfinished business. You want to proceed with that?
Yes, thank you. Just Councillor Hunt, is that there's a council should be aware there's a big, I got notification, there's a big market and car show at Petersfield on August 20th. Is that involving the Lily Pad Cruisers as well? Do you know?
I'm sure a lot of the members will be in attendance at the show, but across Manitoba for any special interest cars that want to attend, but it is the market that's putting it on at the recreational land in front of the hall. It's not at the Mallard Park, this one.
Okay, thank you. So council, you should consider attending. It's going to be a really good event. They've gone to a lot of work for that. Okay, regarding the Amphibex, I want to make some clarification for council on the financial statements from the Amphibex meetings. I've received emails from DJ. I've gone through all my emails and notes. The 2020 draft statements were delivered to the office on March 25th, 2021, last year. They were delivered by myself right after an Amphibex meeting, and were given to Tim. The 2021 were in draft, clearly marked for discussion purposes only. The board received those by email on May 18th of this year. And in that email, the executive director requested approval from the three mayors. I raised a concern, and I will confirm I did not forward them because of that reason, direct to admin as we awaited for an amended copy. Tim confirmed in his August 3rd email, for which, Tim, I thank you for all the work you did on that DJ had received a copy on May 17th, which was prior to the board approval. Numerous emails have been sent to the executive director to obtain the final copies. We've still not received a final copy. The lawyer for the corporation has all of the papers of dissolution to date. We have not received the final copies. As of today, I reconfirmed with Daryl Kuchek. I've also raised the question, as the board, the three mayors, how we are able to approve the 2021 audited statements if the corporation has officially been dissolved. So in Tim's email of August the 4th, there was a timeline of August 30th to receive the statements. Still don't know what this auditor's holdup is. They've been late every year I've been on council, and I mean months late. So I don't know if that August 30th date to wait is necessary. And I have updated council on at least 2 previous occasions as to the status of the statements. And I also want to remind council, because it's not been mentioned, I have brought in over $500,000 from the dissolution of this corporation for the RM. So I don't know if there's further questions, or Tim or DJ, if you feel it's necessary to wait until August 30th.
Well, the auditors are going to come to the office at the end of August. That's why the August 30th date is here, and that's when they'll be gathering the information together for the 2021 audit. And if we don't have finalized statements by that point in time, it'll be a qualified statement, which isn't a huge deal. That's just what it'll be until we do get the finalized statements. And that'll be the same for the other municipalities, or at least one of them in this organization as well. So it doesn't change the timelines, but it is useful information. Thank you very much for doing that research.
Okay, you're more than welcome. Because that qualification, I didn't believe Councillor Paul thought it was on June 8th meeting, it would be a black mark, but it can't be. I mean, we're the RM, we can't be responsible for a corporation that's always so late. And there really has been no activity. So they'll just put their note at the beginning of the statements, which you're correct, DJ, it's doesn't mean anything really. It's just clarifying.
Okay, thank you. That's all we have for old unfinished business. Item 11 is new business, municipal office renovation tender. Resolve that council of the RM of St. Andrews award the contract for the supply of materials, labor necessary for renovations of the RM of St. Andrews municipal office at 500 Railway Avenue in Clandeboye, as designed by Bilski Enterprises Limited to KMJ Builders Limited for the total sum $58,695. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Paul, seconded by Councillor Hunt. Any discussion? Madam Mayor.
Yes, and I'll be asking for a recorded vote on this, please. At the last meeting, there was also in the price, there was Deputy Mayor Hobie had some questions, but there was also an indication it was 10,000 for engineering. Is that included in this? Because why are we paying 10,000 for engineering?
DJ.
And there's already been a fair bit of engineering work to get the tender specs out, between our consultant, Randy Borsaw, and Mr. Bilski, they went back and forth and did the designs, made sure that we had the proper permits, or had what we needed to get the proper permits. And that all has a cost in there. I'm not sure if the total is $10,000 on that particular money, but no, this particular tender award is for the contractor only, not the design work.
Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Hobie.
So, because I've questioned this on the after the previous meeting. So then was this, so of the 17,000, 10 is for the engineer's report and 7 was for the desk?
Sorry, I wasn't at that meeting. That's out of context for me.
Lisa?
Hi there. When we discussed it, the furniture, the budget was 17,000 for the furniture and the audio video equipment. 10,000 was the estimated budget for the consulting and professional fees.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, because this is the part that's I'm unclear of. So is the total then 60 plus 27,000? 10 for engineering, 7 for a desk, 10 for audiovisual, and 60 for the renovations?
This particular tender document is for just the renovations in the room. There'll be other costs coming forward as we figure out additional costs for furniture and for audiovisual equipment as we process, and council will be part of all those decisions.
So, sorry, DJ, can you tell me then, what did we allot for this again? I don't remember, sorry.
I believe it was $80,000. I believe was total number. Yeah.
So
80.
80 for, was that 80 for everything, the entire scope of the project?
That's right, 80 for everything. But if it did come in at 90 or 95, then that's something that could come back at council, and they could certainly bring in more money from reserve fund where this is being funded from. So these are all decisions council can make as we approach that $80,000 number.
Okay, because I think we're at 87 right now then, right? Based on this.
Could be.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Madam Mayor.
Yes, with Deputy Mayor Hobie's question, the last meeting, we had the general reserve report, and it's got admin, building, main, council chambers upgrades, 50,000. Admin, building, main, council chambers upgrades, furniture is at 27,000 for furniture. So that's 77,000 right there.
Councillor Paul.
Which is $3,000 shy of what our CAO had identified at an estimated budget of 80,000. So it sounds like it's right on the mark.
So then to clarify, is the 10,000 engineering costs included in the 50,000?
In this tender document, to be clear, is only for the construction. This tender amount would go to the contractor that's tendered this amount, not for the engineering.
Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Thank you. Councillor Poole, I think if I'm understanding this right, we have 60 for the renovation, 10 for engineering, 10 for audio and visual, and 17 for furniture. Is that not correct? So that's 60, 70, 80, 97,000.
Tim.
Hi, so the latest budget is for just under $80,000, as DJ mentioned. And that includes the original estimate that we started the year with when we did the reserve budget, which was 50,000. And then at the previous meeting, we added in another 27,000 to allow for the addition for the costs of additional items, which were estimated to be the furniture and the engineering costs. So that's the estimate at this time. And we're still working with suppliers to get actual numbers for the furniture and for the engineering. So at this point, it's 77 as it's listed in the attached document. And if the prices that we get back from the suppliers are greater than what we've got estimated now, as DJ mentioned, they'll come back to council. So the current price that we do have is for the construction work, which is 58,000 and change. That's listed in the document that's in front of council as well. I hope that helps.
Okay, the
Sorry, Councillor Prine, I have another question then.
you, Kristen, is that let's deal with the resolution that we have on the table for KMJ Builders to be awarded for the sum of 58,695. That's what we're dealing with here now. We're going into the weeds with everything else. Let's just deal with the 58,000. Councillor Deputy Mayor Hobie. Councillor, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Well, I just, I feel that we do have the answers, and I feel that based on my emails to administration last week and based on this and adding up 10 for audio, 10 for engineer, 60 for the upgrades, and 17. Oh, you've taken 27 because you've amalgamated the engineering and the furniture. So the reality is 60, 70, we're at 87,000 no matter what right now.
Okay, and let's stick to the resolution. Counselor Hunt.
So this resolution, so we had budgeted $50,000 for this, and I think coming in, yeah, 10,000 over is decent for the time of year we are tendering and late in the year with all the work that's going on. So I think we're pretty good. So the only thing we're over budget on is the original price, and how do you put a price on a tender for building with, we're not builders, so I think the engineering is good. So we over budget by $10,000 in the building. So I'm okay with that. Because of what the job that we are getting done.
And Madam Mayor, and then Counselor Poll.
Yes, and that I agree with Deputy Mayor Hobie. I don't know why we have to do this by piecework. We allotted so much in the budget. Now it's one portion now, and then we're going to add up. We don't actually even know the total cost of what it's going to be. And once you start it, you can't stop halfway in between and go, whoa, that's way over budget. We can't have new furniture, or we can't have new lights. And I still say this is not up to this council to decide.
So just to go back to the spring when we were setting the budget and putting in an estimate for the office, the council chambers renovation, the amount that was chosen was an estimate, and it was intended only to be a place marker to identify the project. And then for us to go out and get proper pricing and bring that back to council. So the 50,000 was only intended to be a place marker for the project. It was not intended to be a final price based on quotes that we had received. It was only a request to council to start the project and to start researching and developing pricing. And as DJ mentioned, as we get this pricing, we'll bring this back to council.
Counselor Poll.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that maybe administration can just we can separate these issues, right? So there's the one in front of us, and then the further clarification on the additional costs. Maybe administration can go back and just provide a summary for us. If it's still in an estimate form and we're searching prices, then that's fine. Then just let us know what that is. And then, yeah, depending on where that comes in with the budgets, understanding that over the last 2 years and with gas prices and the way everything is, the costs are going through the roof for everyone and everywhere. I could understand if we come a lot over budget for something like this, and that'll give council an opportunity to make a decision on whether or not they want to do that anyway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that the price for the renovations came in good, because when you look at renovations, there's always things that you don't anticipate. This is not a new build, so they have to tear apart to see what's there actually first. The other thing is that Councillor Poll has said it very correctly, that everything has gone through the roof. Trades are they're all charging more because it's costing them more. So I think it's a good price, and I think it's a really good time to get this done and have the council chambers ready for a new council. Any further discussions? This will be a recorded vote as requested by Madam Mayor. All those in favor? Opposed? Let the record show that Madam Mayor opposed, but this is carried. Okay, RFD Public Works fenced compound. Resolved that the quote provided by Chad O'Hanley in the amount of $94,771 to install the security fence be accepted and funded from the General Reserve Fund. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Poll moves, seconder, Councillor Hunt.
I would like for more information and maybe to even table this. I don't know what your thought is, but the next resolution is for cameras, which I think is a more important issue. We can see what
Sorry, we can't hear Councillor Hunt.
He's just putting his microphone on.
Sorry about that. I think this should be tabled for more information. The next resolution is for cameras, which I think is more important. They did their due diligence there in the system that is required, placement of cameras, which is more strategic than a fence. I think people that are procuring this equipment from us, professionals, and have ways of getting through fences and that kind of stuff. So I think this needs to have a little bit more work, and maybe for the next council to address. That's my opinion on it. Anyway, we'll look for other discussion on it, but I think the next resolution is far greater asset to the municipality, which is cameras.
Thank you, Councillor Hunt. Madam Mayor.
Yes, I agree. This should be tabled. I mean, it's unfortunate all the theft were occurring. That has to be addressed. However, the general reserve attached to this section, I need some clarification, because the July 22nd, or the last meeting in July, the August balance, the balance was 800 in the reserves, $889,232. Now, the report we have attached to this agenda shows we have $1,097,460. And included in that is the fire hall renovations, and it's got approved for 75,000, but it was in the budget for 80. But I thought we were putting a hold on the renovations to Matlock Fire Hall until we received the fire study. Because I know, because I asked, because we were looking for 200,000 for the inflation for gas, inflationary cost, gas, gravel. And then we had discussion on that perhaps this be put on hold, and then DJ confirmed it would be on hold till we get the fire study done, which is due in September 19th, I believe. And then I see in the check listing, there's 2,152 went to Bilski for Matlock Fire Hall rental plans. So I'm really confused on this.
It's very
Just
confusing.
Let DJ explain, please.
So what happens during the budget process is administration comes up with various projects that have been mentioned by council members or by committee members over the previous years. We put a budget, and really we do very loose estimates because we're not paying for engineers ahead of time, right? So we look at a room like this and say, geez, do you think it's 40,000 or 50,000? And that's about how much thought's put into that just around the table that you see the administration sitting here now. We come up with those kind of numbers, and then they get sent off to engineers once councils agree generally to the project. So they generally agree to projects during the financial planning process. We talked about these back in February, and that gives administration some go ahead to, after the budget's approved on May 15th, to move forward and get more refined prices. So the word approved, and I'm trying to be as clear as possible on these statements when we sent them out. Really, I'd prefer council members phone me ahead of time when they're confused, then we could have more one-on-one conversations. But when we put the word approved, that implies that they were in the budget originally and in the financial plan that council approved on May 15th. Then we have our procurement bylaw, and there are certain expenditures and certain tender processes that we have to follow, despite the fact that it's approved in the financial plan. That's what the blue means, though. It's approved in the financial plan. But just like the office renovation, then the tenders come forth at a later date, and then we get actual numbers in there. And sometimes they're much higher and sometimes they're much lower. For example, the fire hall rental is much higher than we originally guesstimated. There was a lot more work that had to be done to bring the building up to code if there was going to be renovations to it. So that hasn't come forth to council. So the word approved meant it was approved by council on May 15th, or whenever we had the financial plan hearing, could have been May 13th. That's what that means. The public work fence number was just trying to give a working number. I guess what this page is really trying to illustrate is we have over $1 million available in the general reserve fund. It could honestly be 1.1 million, or it could be 900,000. Personally, as a professional accountant, I'm very comfortable with that 10% deviation. Right now, this is the exact number, and as we get more exact numbers, as the various projects and tenders get approved with council, then we can further refine this number. So that's the process that follows for all capital budgeting. It's never known exactly how much a project is going to cost until the tender comes in and is approved by council.
Okay, thank you, DJ. Let's stick to the resolution that we have in front of us. The reserve, money will come from the reserve, but let's talk about the amount to install the security fence or wait for further information, as Councillor Hunt had said. One of the things that I talked to Councillor Hunt about this prior is that there's $100,000 for a fence, but do we really need a fence across the bush in the back? You can't get anything out of there anyway. And we are trying to deter theft, of big ticket items, trailers especially. They're easy to hook up and they're gone. And I think that we can do this much cheaper because they can't drive trailers and stuff through the bush. We could maybe use a system of gates or so to prevent that theft, or a barrier wall. I think the cameras are probably more important at this point, and the fence. I think that we should revert this back to administration for more information, more clarity on where we want to go with a fence and or other options. Does anybody have any further to add? Madam Councillor Paul? And then
Yes, Mr. Chair, I had my hand up first. Thank you. Well, we have that existing fence, like where the gravel pile is. So I think you're correct, a gate. But I would ask, as Councillor Hunt said, this be tabled for more information.
Okay. Councillor Paul?
Yeah, tabled for more information. I agree with the comments so far.
Deputy Mayor Hobie, are you okay with tabling this for further information and other options?
Yes, please.
Okay, Councillor Garvey? Okay, we will table this until we get further information. Okay. Item 11.3, resolve that council approve the purchase of security camera system from Green Connects Electric Corporation, John Sherlock, at a cost of $32,568, which will be funded from the General Reserve Fund. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Hunt, seconder. Councillor Paul seconds. Any discussion? Madam Mayor and Councillor Paul.
Well, should this not be tabled along with the other one for more information? And I think we need to get more quotes.
DJ, how many quotes did we get on this? Just the one? It went out to several and only one quote came back.
And when did the quote go out?
Sir? Month and a half ago.
Well, at least, 3 weeks ago anyway, when the trailer was stolen. So it was at that time.
So yeah, 3 weeks ago when the last trailer was stolen. Councillor Hunt?
Well, I think I would be more comfortable if we had more quotes. I mean, there's lots of people that are doing all this security and advertise it in some other way to get more quotes, because this is a high cost.
Councillor Hunt?
For 28 cameras and 3 surveillance units and installation and monitoring is not a high price, and something like this we can't afford not to purchase. They have done their due diligence on the location of the cameras. This is a company that does this professionally. Yeah, there's lots of people out there that do go to Costco and buy a $700 unit and put them in. This is something that is long overdue for the office, the public works, and the fire hall. These cameras are going on. So, and then with that, we put up signs, and this I'm sure will deter lots of the problems that we are having. So let's move forward with it and then get it done.
Deputy Mayor Hobie?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to clarify, that is a lot of equipment for that price, in my opinion. But does that include somebody watching those cameras 24/7, DJ? No, I didn't think so.
It'll be recorded.
So it's recorded. So is it in the cloud? Like, how are you getting access to these recordings?
Yeah, there are up to 25 phones can hook up to the system. So that anyone who's part of those 25 phones can check the system at any time or get alerts when there's movements, I think. And note of the cloud as well, yes.
Okay, so basically, it will alert you if it sees movement after hours, and you'll get like a, a page or whatever, your phone will ding or whatever, and then you go online, you can watch the video, you can rewind it to see what's going on. Is that how I'm understanding this?
I'm not sure about the alert. I'm certain you can go online and see who was there later, but I've never had
Right.
camera. I don't know if anyone's got more experience than me. I'm pretty sure someone does here.
Okay, and is there a monthly fee, DJ?
No monthly fee, no.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, thank you. My question, yeah, I had a few of those questions, but honestly, I'm thinking if we're gonna have specific questions about how the cameras operate and the abilities of them and things like that, that discussion should go in camera, just in case in the future somebody decides to watch this tape and wants to know how to get into our compound, they'll know how to avoid the security process. And just on a side note, the price on those is very good. I have 38 cameras at my workplace in the daytime, but I am interested in some of the different features. So I do think if it's possible, if we can go in camera with this item, ask some of those questions, and then if we can't get enough answers, that maybe we bring it back, because I do agree this is a very important thing to have. And I think it can help us with our security, vastly help us with our security on the grounds, a lot more so than that fencing.
Thank you. I would prefer not to move in camera. We have a resolution in front of us here just to accept the quote that was given from us. We can talk about when and where in camera after if we would like to. Councillor Hunt?
Yeah, I think we should, I'd like to approve this, and I think any questions that come up, we could have the question answered, and I think the system is adequate for what is required. You talk about movement, I have, systems as well, and they work well. I don't know about the notifications, because people can drive through, so you're gonna have movement there, but you're gonna see who's driving through, a dog walks by, but I think the due diligence has been done and the questions can be asked, and if the questions come out reasonable, then we can continue on with it. But I think we need approval on this to move forward, because then it won't be for another month. And I think time is of the essence of this.
Councillor Paul?
I disagree with approving it right now, because there's certain functions and certain equipment that is specific that will provide you exactly with what you need when it comes to the RCMP, as well as when it comes to monitoring. So that could drastically change the price depending on what it is and whether or not it's included. And I'd rather not discuss those in open camera. If those answers are there, great. Then I'd love to move this in camera. We can move the resolution outside of camera afterwards. But I can't vote on this as it stands. That's my comments.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, and I believe Colleen and I spoke earlier. It's later on, there's a special meeting of council being called. This can be added on as one of the items on, what was the date? At that meeting.
Okay.
That was for the purpose of August 23rd, until we get full information on this.
Okay, so is it council's will then that we table this and have an in-camera discussion and bring it back at the special meeting? Or deal with it at the end of this meeting? Councillor Hunt?
Well, I would say Councillor Pohl obviously has some questions and expertise to add to this, and definitely we want the best that we can get. Is going to give anybody that needs to review these recordings the best information that they can get to correct the problem that we're looking at the tapes for. So maybe if Councillor Pohl can email their questions in, and I think we don't need any more discussion on it, because I don't know much about them other than the cameras and how to look at them. So with your expertise, Mr. Councillor Poll, if you can email their questions in, and let's get them answered. And I agree, if it's a few $1,000s more for something better, by all means. So.
Okay, let's then, are the mover and seconder okay with tabling this until a special meeting and have it added to that agenda? Okay. You're good with that? Okay, so we'll have a little bit of a discussion in camera, and then we will ask those questions of administration, and if there's any other outstanding questions that need to be answered, we can have the answer to them for the special meeting. Madam Mayor.
Yes, and I would also ask that this general reserve list be updated prior to that, or for that August 23rd meeting on the general reserve amount, please.
Okay, let's move on then. Speed reader boards. Resolve that council authorize the purchase of 3 speed display signs from ATS Traffic Limited at a cost of $3,450 each plus applicable taxes. And be it further resolved, the administration be authorized to make application to MTI for appropriate permits if required. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poll, seconder. Councillor Garvey seconds. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor Hobie.
Yeah, I just want to advise that due to perceived conflict of interest with these companies, I need to recuse myself from any voting or discussion.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Hobie. Any further discussion? Madam Mayor.
Yes, I would ask this be tabled till the next meeting. I had a discussion with Colleen today because I was just recently advised on the weekend by an RCMP officer that MPI, there is a subsidy by MPI, and Colleen confirmed she is checking to see what sort of money, if any, we'll be getting for this.
Okay, are the mover and seconder okay with tabling this for further information and possibly funding? Councillor Poll?
Yeah, my question would be to administration, do we have to table this in order to apply for the funding to receive the funding? Or can we proceed with it, apply for the funding, and they make a decision on whether we get it or not?
I feel council could probably pass the resolution tonight. Administration could check into that question. And if there is a grant available, we haven't purchased it yet, and we could apply for the grant first. I kind of think that grant is not available anymore. And that grant used to be available about 5-6 years ago, but we'll look into that and double check. But this way we're not slowing down the process.
Okay. Any further?
I can confirm that is recent information.
Okay.
That it's not a grant, it's a subsidy. And MPI does have such a thing, and I don't know how we can pass it at this dollar, for this dollar amount, when we don't know how much we're going to be getting. If we can get any money.
Councillor Poll?
Then I would propose an amendment to the resolution to identify that administration is going to go away and check into the subsidy. And if the subsidy is available, they will do all required actions to apply for that subsidy and to get it moving in conjunction with the purchase of these items, because I agree with purchasing these items without the subsidy for the costs that are listed. And if we can make it cheaper, that would be great. But I don't think there's a need for us to hold it, to wait for an answer for that. If we get a direct administration to go and get an answer for that, and if we get the subsidy, we can move on.
And a cost not to exceed $3,450. Is the seconder okay with the friendly amendment? That would be you, Russ. Okay. Madam Mayor.
Well, my concern is that we passed this for $3,450. It's already in the report. It's Airmaster signs, but the cost, they have a 1-year subscription to allow downloading of information, et cetera, and it can be renewed at an additional $400 per year. My concern is not knowing if we can get the subsidy. We have to need the details of the subsidy. We pass this, go ahead with it. Airmaster comes back and says, oh, well, MPI comes back and says, well, you've already passed a resolution to pay it, so you don't qualify. That's my concern.
Counselor Poll?
DJ, have you ever heard of that happening before where we pass a resolution, don't purchase the equipment, request the subsidy, and it gets denied because there's a resolution authorizing it?
Not a resolution. There's been cases in the past where there'd be grant applications that say any expenditures made prior to grant approval are not eligible. You know, that happens, but that's an actual expenditure. That's actual when you sent the check in.
Yeah, that was my understanding, is once you spend the money, then it kind of starts that clock. It's not whether or not you have the paperwork for it.
And this is just authorizing us to spend the money. That's not the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Let the record show that there was one opposed and Kristen abstained from the vote. Okay, purchase sale agreement, roll number 645960. Resolve council authorize the signing of the purchase sale agreement for parcel P plan 31853 as approved at the May 24th, 2022 meeting. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poll, seconder. Counselor Hunt seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, Clandeboye Hall, Clandeboye Fire Hall hiring new members. Resolve that council authorize the hiring of Yvonne Ponchen, Michael McKay, Preston Tomchuk, and Kristen Diorlini, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, as members of the Clandeboye Fire Hall as recommended by the fire chief. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poll, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hobie. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, Madam Mayor.
Yes, so are we having some members retiring or leaving? And now there's an influx of new members, or do we just keep adding on?
No, we're limited to how many members we can have at the fire hall, and there are some on leave that may want to come back in the future, but right now the fire hall felt that it needed 4 members to replace the members that are either unable to commit to the number of practices and have been asked to take some time off until they're able to increase their level of commitment.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Special meeting of council. Resolve the council approve that a special meeting be called for August 23rd, 2022 at noon for the purpose of a delegation, approval of accounts, second and third reading of bylaw number 4376, and a request for decision, security cameras. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Garvey, seconder. Counselor Poll seconds.
I have one more addition.
There's one more addition.
Yeah, my public works manager has also asked that a gravel tender be put on the agenda as well. That does not mean council has to accept the tender, but we are going to tender a gravel for 2022 and allow the contractors to get work on crushing it this fall and early winter. Oh, sorry, 2023. So if we can add that as well.
Are the mover and seconder okay with that friendly amendment? They are. Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, item 12, in camera. Resolve that council move into camera at 7:20 PM to discuss matters that are in preliminary stages and respecting which discussion in public could prejudice the municipality's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations, as well as legal and personal issues. And be it further resolved that members of council agree to keep in confidence a matter that is discussed at a meeting that is closed to the public under subsection 152-3, and that a committee decides to keep confidential until the matter is discussed at a meeting of council or committee conducted in public. Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Poll moves, Counselor Garvey seconds. All in favor? We are in camera. We will wait for the recording to be turned off.
Russ, And we'll have to go into it later.
Okay.
Guys, give me 1 minute.
On the camera at 9:12 PM. Can I have a
Oh, hang on, John. Ken said he needs 1 minute.
You guys are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
resolve the council move out of camera 9:13 PM? Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poole, second by Counselor Garvey. All in favor? That is carried. Resolutions coming from out of camera. Counselor Poole, would you please read them off one at a time?
Thank you, Councillor Freund. Okay, so proposal to amend resolution 2022-278 to authorize extended bylaw coverage. And the resolution reads, resolved that council appoint Chris Steiner as bylaw enforcement officer for the Arm of St. Andrews until August 8th, 2022, or upon return of our current bylaw officer. The amendment is to remove August 8th, 2022. And the word or. So I'll motion that.
Make that as a motion. Can I have a seconder, please? Counselor Hunt seconds. Any discussion? Madam Mayor? Your microphone, please.
Thank you. One correction, it's Stenke, Steinke. And I would ask for a recorded vote, please.
Yep.
Thank you for the correction.
Any further discussion? We will have a recorded vote, and I will read out the votes because this is going to be on tape. All those in favor? Councilors Freund, Poole, Hunt, Garvey. Are we missing anyone? Opposed? Councilors, Madam Mayor is opposed and Deputy Mayor Hobie opposed. That motion, that resolution is carried. Next resolution, please.
Thank you. Another proposed resolution amendment. The resolution reads, whereas a complaint was received through Workplace Health and Safety, and whereas a proposal dated April 26, 2022 from People First regarding the issue be accepted, which therefore authorizes them to then follow through and implement the recommendations provided. And further be it resolved that the harassment policy be temporarily suspended for all activities associated with this complaint to allow for Councillor Poole and Mayor Sewell to jointly work together to resolve these activities.
Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Move, seconder. Councilor Garvey seconds. Any more discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? And that is carried. Councilor Poole, the next resolution.
Okay. This resolution reads, whereas there is a need to have council participate in the contract review process, therefore be it resolved that council create the ad hoc contract review committee immediately with members to include Councillor Darrell Poole, Councillor Russ Garvey, Deputy Mayor Hobie, ACAO Colleen Saylor, and Public Works Manager Rick Palmer. And I'll move that.
Moved by Councilor Poole, seconder. Councilor Garvey seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? That's carried. The last resolution, Councilor Poole.
The last resolution reads, whereas there is a suspected breach of in-camera confidentiality, administration is authorized to hire an investigator in accordance with the Arm of St. Andrews procurement policy to investigate the period of August 5th to 9th inclusive. And I'll motion that.
I have a seconder, please. Councilor Garvey seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. That is all the resolutions you have coming from out of camera, Counselor Poll. That brings us,
Yes, it is. Thank you.
that brings us to the end of the meeting. Resolve that council be adjourned at 9:18 PM. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Poll, second by Counselor Garvey. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your evening.